I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans. And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field. Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Chris Williams, Brent Blum. From the Northwest Bank Studios, it's Williams and Bloom, presented by Mechdyne on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.
What is up? That is some loud music. How's that now? That's a little quieter.
You don't look like Chris Williams.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I know. That's a fact. That's a fact.
I'm Jake Brend, joined by Brent Blum, filling in for C-Dub as he is, I think, on a flight. No, just landed in Las Vegas. He's out there for some Iowa Everywhere stuff, covering Big Ten Media Days of all things.
That is random. That they're in Vegas. Not that C-Dub's in Vegas, because C-Dub and Vegas are very familiar.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
He will have a pretty good time out there, I'm sure, no matter what.
But yeah, you're dealing with Brend and Brent for a day, or Brent and Brend.
Brendan Bloom. Brent. That sounds like man. Either way, I'm ecstatic for this opportunity. I think this is our first podcast together, Jake.
It is. And it should be our second.
The people have been asking for it because, and we've got basketball to talk about, and NBA basketball at that, and literally 2 of the 19 NBA fans in Iowa on one podcast. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a former NBA employee. I covered an NBA game while I was in high school. Whoa. I don't know if I've ever told this story publicly. No. So when I was a senior in high school, I believe, I was still writing for Wide Right Natty Light. Great friends over there still.
Absolutely.
And I was going to be in Denver anyways for a Nuggets game with some friends. And I emailed the media guy. I'm like, hey, I'm with SB Nation's Iowa State site. Covered Monte Morris which I didn't. Covered Monte Morris for these 4 years. I was like 12. I'd love to maybe get a credential and interview him before the game. They're just like, sure. So I get my credential, and before the game, I'm standing in the locker room, awesome. And I'm talking to Monte, and Jokic is there, Jamal Murray is there, Gary Harris, and as I'm like interviewing Monte on my phone, I can just see like this bigger media guy, and I think he's like staring at me, and he comes up and he's like, hey man, you're not supposed to be here right now. So I was this like 17-year-old standing in the middle.
Did they just walk in?
I picked up my credential, and the guy I was supposed to meet, I just couldn't find him.
So you just went in there anyway?
And I kind of just walked where a bunch of media people were. And I think I could have been there. I might have just been there at the wrong time.
Yeah, because they have...
If that makes sense.
They do have... I remember from my days, they'd have only like a half-hour time you could be in the locker room before a game. Then obviously you could go in after. But yeah, they had time constraints in there.
But believe it or not, that was the night of the Alamo Bowl. So I was talking to... There was a guy on the team, I don't remember who it was. That was a Washington State guy. So I was talking to Monte about the football game that night.
Yep, and because he keeps track. I don't think people realize Monte's a huge Cyclone fan. Like, he really is.
We got way off topic already. Before we get more off topic, let's thank Mechdyne for being the presenting sponsor.
The people are like, well, Brent's already fitting in with this show.
We'll get to Nuggets basketball in a couple seconds. But yeah, Mechdyne, enabling discovery at Marshalltown. They've got a big event coming up, don't they?
I get to hang out with them on Friday.
This Friday, okay.
Seat up me and our guy Charlie McKenna. We're going to be up hanging out with the Mechdyne crew. Always a blast. And I'm telling you, if you can go hang out with your coworkers, that's a big deal. You should look at the Mechdyne job board. Always a great opportunity.
Especially when almost all of those coworkers are Iowa State fans.
They really, it
makes it even better.
It's a plus. Some awesome people up there. And again, looking for a career change, check out Mechdyne. And Clover's the best. Just an awesome CEO and a good leader and somebody you'll learn a lot from.
Well, I'm sure Clover is excited to hear this. Denver Nuggets of the NBA have signed Curtis Jones to a 2-way contract in the National Basketball Association. Jones just tore it up in 5 games for the Nuggets. Started off as like the 8th or 9th man off the bench.
Yeah.
By game 5, he was starting. Get this stat. He finished, I think, of players that played at least 3 games. Jones finished with the seventh most minutes per game on the team and led them in scoring. Does that sound like Curtis Jones?
It's his little summer league run was the perfect microcosm of his basketball career. It's like they pick him up.
It really was.
They pick him up. They're like, I don't know what we have here. I mean, here's what I love about Curtis, because when you look at him and he just walks into the gym, you're like, that's not a high level basketball player. I mean, he just doesn't look. I mean, he's 6'3", 170. You know, he's not a guy that she's going to walk off the bus and you're like, oh, this guy's a player. But he just wears on you. He just gets better. He gets more comfortable. He makes everything. And I was talking to some people that I know in the NBA, and they're like, we couldn't ignore him anymore. It was the same thing that happened at Iowa State. It's like, get him on the floor. I mean, he started a little slow in that first game, but then he kept getting minutes. He got more comfortable. The game slowed down for him. And by that last, was it Friday night?
Yep.
When he went for 22 and was super efficient, he made everything. And that's Curtis. And now he's a 2-way contract, which is an unbelievable achievement. So just to kind of give you guys what does that mean? And this is why Jake and I could just do 45 minutes on the difference between a 2-way and Exhibit 10, and we'd be ecstatic. But you guys probably wouldn't be. But so a 2-way is the closest to a full-time contract. So you've got the full-time guaranteed contracts. A 2-way is what I call a hybrid contract. It's essentially you get up to 50 games to play in the NBA during that season. So for Curtis, that'd be the 25-26 season. All the other games, all the other days he would spend with her G League franchise. Do they have a direct G League franchise, Jake?
Yep, it's the Grand Rapids Gold.
Okay, thank you. I knew you would know. So he'll split time between the two. If he were to play more than 50 games with the Nuggets, he would be guaranteed a full-time contract at that point. But if you're asking about numbers, I believe the average 2-way contract last year was around $600,000. But a good portion of that is guaranteed right off the start here, even if he doesn't play a game in the NBA. So to go from undrafted to 2-way is pretty unique, especially this early. Usually they'll start handing those things out once you get to training camp. But it was pretty clear to anybody who watched him that if the Nuggets didn't sign him up to a 2-way, somebody else was going to. And I heard from my people in the NBA, they're like, yeah, this guy's getting signed. There's no doubt about it. And I think the Nuggets from like game 2 were like, yeah, we like this guy. And they kept giving him more time. And he took advantage. And I know you watched, you're a sicko. You watched, I think, most of those games, which good for you, pal, because they're not exactly, when you can foul like 20 times in a game and not foul out, it's not exactly thrilling basketball. But I know you caught most of it because you are a Nuggets fan.
Yeah, so I'm a diehard Nuggets fan. I've got literally right above my head, that's like the 2023 NBA Finals portrait. And we were both in Okoboji on Thursday, just a great day in Boji, and we were at Captain's together. And man, was that a fun bar.
That was a good place.
Probably stayed there a little too long, but after you left to go get dinner, I was live texting you updates of Curtis on the Nuggets.
Kurt. I was like, oh my gosh, Kurt. Yeah.
And that's one of those things where I should probably look back and be like, maybe just watch the highlights tomorrow.
Maybe just watch the highlights. But hey, it was a good, memorable night. Hey, we had to initiate you into those CF We Will work trips pretty quickly there.
Yeah, I was just exhausted on Friday from all that work. But yeah, you mentioned, so I watched a lot of Nuggets basketball, and I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly what's going on in the scouting department and up and down the roster exactly, but the Nuggets are notoriously known for not being a deep team. And they made some moves this offseason that would say otherwise, that I think they've got a chance to maybe be deep. But the year they won the finals, they were effectively playing 7 guys. And as of right now, they don't have a clear-cut backup point guard.
Interesting.
So Tim Hardaway Jr., sniper, but
Not really a ball handler.
Not a ball handler. They've got this kid from Penn State who's been on two ways, hasn't really done much in the league. So I'm not saying that Kurt has a direct into play right away, but if he continues to show what he did in the summer league at the G League level, and there's an injury or two, there's no reason that Jones can't be a pretty decent 8th or 9th man. And that's not just my Cyclone homer or bias that...
Sure, it's a numbers game.
I want him to, obviously. Yeah. And I got to watch Monte do the same thing, but I think there is a chance for him to do that, especially... This is a total nerd stat, and people back home will love this. So last year, the Nuggets were the most efficient three-point shooting team in the league, but they took the least because
school because they have Jokic and he just
and the problem is they should be taking more because
really. No, if
they
you're the
do
most
have
efficient
Jokic.
Team, you should be shooting a lot more.
So what they did this offseason was bring in shooters, and Jones is clearly one of the best shooters to come out of this entire college class, and it's a match made in heaven for, I think, both parties to maybe have a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, I think they're going to give him a lot of opportunity. I mean, there just aren't a lot of pieces there. So what this means for him is he'll go to training camp. Training camp will start
I think it's September 25th.
And he'll battle for that backup point guard job. I have no doubt about that. And we'll see what they do. See if it's still risky. I mean, Curtis didn't handle the ball a lot. I think that's a legit question. You know, Iowa State obviously had Taman and Keyshawn, who did the majority of the ball handling duties. But if you look at Curtis's Iowa State career, 2 years ago when he first came in, he didn't handle the ball really at all. I mean, he was pretty much a spot-up shooter. I was amazed in his offseason a year ago how much they just gave him the keys at times, especially in that run, in the Big 12 play where he was getting 25, 30, 35, and even in, even in Kansas City where he was doing a lot of pull-up stuff, he was doing a lot of pick-and-roll stuff, and I don't know how much he's going to have to, if he's going to be a backup point guard, he's going to have to run the pick and roll a lot. And that's where I don't know about him yet. Defensively, he's a nice player. He'll be fine. I really believe that. He's a little light. You can't doubt Curtis Jones at this point. His story doesn't get enough attention. He came to Indian Hills with no offers from Division I schools. None.
Or D2.
Which I was like, what? And again, he's not an impressive. This isn't a guy that he grew like 6 inches. Like he's 6'3.5" and 100. When he got to Ames, he was 155 pounds. Like he's not a big guy, and he just worked on his game. He goes to Buffalo. He averages 2.5 points in his age 20 season, so he's not really young either, which is another thing. And then he transfers to Iowa State. And last year, I mean, I don't know if we realize how good a season that was with what Iowa State was facing. With Keyshawn and Taman's injuries, Milan being out, I mean, Curtis Jones was unbelievable. And again, that's why it's so cool that even, 5 years ago, he's at Indian Hills averaging 5 points a game. Did anybody think this was possible? Not even him. And now he's, literally an NBA player. And these are my stories that are my favorite. It reminds me a lot of Niang and Monte, where it's like always bet on yourself. Brock Purdy even. It's like nobody else believes in you, but I believe in me. And this is huge not only for him, because he's an awesome dude. As my friend John Walters says, Curtis Jones never has a bad day. So that helps keep you on a roster as well, by the way. And then secondly, it's great for Iowa State. You talked to Dom Nelson, what was a couple weeks ago, and he's like, why did I go to Iowa State? Because they developed Curtis Jones. And now Curtis Jones turns from a development project at Iowa State. Keep in mind, they took Jackson Paveletzky over Curtis to start with.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not a shot at Jackson Paveletzky. He had a nice year at Ohio. But they were not going to take Curtis until Darian Williams went elsewhere. And now he ends up at Iowa State, becomes really an icon at Iowa State. Now he's an NBA player. It's just a really neat story. And that the cool part of sports is it gives you belief that there are still goals out there that you can do if you believe in it.
Well, and something that is not surprising, I follow so many Nuggets accounts and fans on Twitter, and Friday night, I saw 15 tweets. That was, if they don't sign Curtis Jones to a two-way, we riot. And I think fans will quickly grow to appreciate him. Maybe not at the exact level of Iowa State fans, but
you don't do that for a backup. But at the same time,
but the sickos that were watching the summer league, it only took them 5 games before they were on the right or not.
And again, at this point, you got options as an Iowa State fan of who you want to cheer for, which is pretty cool. These guys are kind of all over the place. Obviously, not having Tyrese around all next year because he's going to be out for the year is a bummer. But I'll be locked. And Nuggets are going to be pretty good, right? They'll be a Western Conference contender, I would assume.
Yeah, the moves they made should be right in the mix. And there's a world where Kurt maybe gets a role in that.
Yeah,
we'll see. I wouldn't get expectations too high. It is a big jump from the summer league to the real thing.
Yeah, he's not playing 20 minutes a game. He'll play 3 to 5. It's not going to be a lot. It'll be that early second quarter when you need to get a backup in there. But he probably will play in Des Moines at some point too, so we'll keep an eye on that for when they play Iowa. One other update, Keyshawn Gilbert actually had a nice last day with the Wizards. I think he scored 15. They gave him the start. He's on an Exhibit 10, which is below a 2A. Exhibit 10 basically means we'll give you a signing bonus to join the Summer League team and join our training camp. So he's got a longer way to go. He struggled early in the Summer League, but actually the last 2 games played okay. So Keyshawn will get a shot. He'll probably get invited to the Wizards Summer League, and you'll probably see him at some point in Iowa as well in the G League.
Yeah, that's the good part about it for Jones is not only do you get to be in that NBA locker room and, be in practice with the best player in the world, but he also gets to go down to Grand Rapids, and when he's there, he's going to play 35, 40 minutes a night, and that's where it's the best of both worlds.
They give those 2A guys, they tell those G League coaches, no, you will play those guys, and they will shoot the most, which means even if he doesn't make it with the Nuggets, you get a lot more eyeballs on you to sign with another NBA team, or worst case, like happened to Matt Thomas, you get a monster deal overseas.
Or George Niang.
Niang even, yeah.
He went off it was Golden State's Summer League team, right? And then really got his breakthrough in Utah. So he's in a good spot. No
question. I'm never going to bet against Curtis Jones. And another cool story coming from a great kid, and super happy for him, and that made my weekend.
Do you know who else I wouldn't bet against? Colin Newell saving you thousands.
No, that's right.
Over at Farm Bureau Financial Services. I know he saved you a ton of money.
He did, and we had some flood issues. Not thankfully in my basement. I think Williams' sump pump's okay, although we probably should check on that. But if we did have issues, you know who was calling. I'm calling Colin Newell right there.
Grab a cup of coffee and talk some Cyclone football with him.
Or, you know what? Colin will have an Ames lager with you. He doesn't mind. The big man's a great guy, and honestly, first class experience dealing with my insurance guy, Colin Newell.
Yeah, I love Colin Newell. I had a ton of fun playing in the Weewell golf outing this year. I played with him a couple years ago too. He's a ringer as well.
Yeah, the guy can get the ball out there now. Now Colin plays like an offensive lineman. I'll say, when he hits it hard, but he has no idea where it's going a lot of the time.
I'd also like to thank Kelderman Manufacturing. I don't know if Kelderman plays golf.
I don't think he does.
Kelderman,
let us know.
He spends so much time on that motorcycle. You can only have so many hobbies.
I was in a golf cart on Thursday in Bogie that it looked like a rig that Kelderman would have put together. Like this thing was like an SUV combo hybrid with a golf cart. I'm going to have Kelderman build me one of those. I bet he would.
Yeah, I've met Kelderman a couple times, and he is what you call a man's man.
He's a man's man.
He can do a lot of things that I can't.
Me too.
So
it's good to keep those guys around,
Go down to Oski and have Kelderman do whatever you need done to your motorcycle, your truck, any of that stuff, any manufacturing needs. Kelderman's the man. We're of course in the Northwest Bank Studios. They're the sponsor of the golf outing on.
Yes, they were.
On Thursday, I believe.
Yep. And we do our banking, all of our banking, my personal banking and our We Will banking through Northwest. Awesome people. And we talked about the euro exchange rate, but just, again, advice for I'm now the old guy. I'm giving advice like I'm like some sort of Aristotle type character. But it's always good to know your banker. It really is. And make sure they're local a lot of times because they'll look out for you. And Northwest Bank is Iowa-based, and they're constantly giving back to not only individual charities that, like the Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, but they'll also support your local sports teams as well, and that's pretty cool.
We'll keep talking some basketball, and we'll close with some football. I just want to talk a little bit about Milan Momchilovich and what TJ Otzelberger specifically had to say about him on that was Tuesday men's basketball availability. Pretty much he said, Milan, I don't care about your efficiency. I don't care if you shoot 40%. I don't care if you shoot 35%. What we do know is you're shooting 50% in practice, in like live scrimmages. At a minimum, you've got to be taking 7 to 10 threes per game. Tough, contested, off balance, all of it. And I could not agree more with Coach Otzelberger on that one.
I can't wait. I think we're in for the Milan Momchilovich season. I'll just put it that way. I was at a practice a couple of weeks ago. They were literally in this overtime period, and I'm going to be honest, the starters, so Milan Taman's group, were getting taken to him by the bench.
I love it.
Which was, they're getting taken, like they were getting beat up. And it was hilarious because Taman and Milan basically flipped the switches like, okay, now let's play. Let's actually play. And Milan reeled off like 12 points in a row. Just, bang, bang, bang. Layup in transition, 3. And the starters ended up winning like in like a 10-minute period. But then, and again, I'm not oversharing info, but TJ basically at the end of practice, like, here's the deal, man. Like, you showed what you could do in the last 3 minutes. We can't have the first 7. Almost like you showed what you can do. Like, you're literally the best player on the floor when you want to be. You need to be that guy all the time. And he said it with some certain choice language, if you can interpret that. But he has it. He has as much offensive talent and skill as Iowa State's had in a long time. And he wants to be great. He really does. But he's a nice guy. Like, I think that's part of it where his age is going to help immensely. I think for the first 2 years, he deferred a lot because, like, hey, Keyshawn and Curtis and Taman, they're older than me, and Josh was older than me. But now he's the older guy. He's a junior. And there's something powerful in being the old guy and feeling more confident. And his skill is not the question. It's if his confidence is on and they give him the keys to the car to shoot 15 times a game, he's going to put up monster numbers. I don't think 20 points per game is out of the question for him. And so when you start thinking about, the money ball approach of where's the 3 ball coming from after losing Curtis, it doesn't have to be from one guy. But if you get Milan taking 5 more per game, that's a big chunk. You don't need to replace Curtis with just one guy, one guard. Then he's taking a bit of it. Taman can shoot it more. Once Joshua gets healthy, and he'll be back this week, by the way. Cass is going to come off, I think, tomorrow. Then he can shoot a little bit more. And I'm telling you guys, Jamarian Bateman is not your typical freshman. And I don't want to, overhype it here. Because I know we did that with Noyes. Those two are not the same. And I really believe that Iowa State shooting-wise, the staff is just not overly concerned about it because they know they have probably the best shooter in the league in number 22, Milan Momchilovich. And he's going to have some games where he goes 3 for 15. All great shooters do. But over time, he's going to be a 45% three-point shooter. And I would put my Northwest Bank HELOC on the fact that he's going to be the leading scorer for Iowa State this year.
Well, so he said it himself. It's that when he's told to take tougher shots, he gets a little uncomfortable because growing up, you're told take open shots.
He always takes a good shot, absolutely.
And he wants to focus on, I want to be a 40% three-point shooter, but it sounds like TJ is just nailing it into his head. It's about attempts. It's about makes. It's not about percentage.
Exactly.
So if he's making 4 threes on 11 attempts per game, that's a little bit below 40%, but that is better than making 2 attempts or making 2 shots on 5 attempts or 4 attempts. And it
goes back to the nerdy true shooting percentage. The more threes, the better. And Iowa State's just, honestly, at times, I don't think they shot enough threes last year. Like, I really think they need to shoot more threes with that guy. And it's going to open everything else up, too. Because when you spread the floor, you get so much attention on Milan, and then he's developed, and I thought it was as good as Iowa State's offense looked in that BYU game. He and Joshua did a two-man game. Again, Taman didn't play.
So that I was about to bring up.
Okay, they did this little two-man game, and BYU had nothing for him. They couldn't stop it. Because when Milan puts the ball on the floor and Joshua puts the ball on the floor, those are guys 6'8", 6'9", that can handle it. They're both really good passers. the whole floor opens up. Iowa State's going to have two weapons there that I think you run the offense. So again, Taman's always going to be a factor. Taman's going to be Taman. But I'm not as concerned as I think the general fan base is that you're losing Curtis Jones and Keyshawn Gilbert, because it's going to be really difficult for teams to guard Jefferson and Momchilovich, which each of their skill. And I have to remind people, college basketball is getting a year and a half younger next year. And so those are two really old guys with a lot of skill and size that I just don't know how teams are going to match up too well with those two guys. And BYU couldn't. Now, BYU made everything, and Iowa State's defensive rotations were not great that day. But otherwise, I think Iowa State's going to win a lot of games with Jefferson and Momchilovich as the two go-to guys.
And off the top of my head, in the Big 12, I don't know where you put JT Toppin at the 4 or the 5.
Fair.
But say JT Toppin's a 4, he's probably the only guy in the conference more skilled at that position than Jefferson. And I don't know if you can find a more skilled 3 than Milan. And I completely agree that you lean into not only their ability to finish and to be crafty, but both of their abilities to pass as well. And not just pass, they're tall. They're 6'8", 6'9".
Exactly.
Seeing over the defender, I think that will be a massive part of the offense. And it was a really good part of the offense the last month of the season when Keyshawn was in and out of the lineup. And then when Taman missed that game, when the offense was forced to go through those two, there's points where it looked like Iowa State's best offense all year.
I totally agree. That Houston game was another one where Milan went nuts because he had to. And literally, their advice for Milan is pretend this is the Houston game every single game, pal. Like, you're shooting 20 times, dude. Keep shooting. I don't care. Literally, teaches like, I don't care. And again, in certain language, I don't care if you miss. I don't. We know you're going to make it at a high percentage. Don't worry about getting yanked. Keep shooting, because when he has aggressiveness, he starts putting the ball on the floor. He's 6'8.5". Like, it's hard to guard. It's really hard to guard that guy. So I agree. By the way, I didn't even realize this until about a couple weeks ago. You know, Kansas has the number 1 NBA draft pick for next year on its roster.
Yeah, Darren Peterson.
Yeah. So I think, again, when you start talking about skilled big guys, I mean, he's, what is he, 6'6", 6'7"? He's more of a guard. He's not really a big guy, but the point stands that this league's going to be really talented again. So that's why I know you say that in respect, but having Joshua and Milan on the same team, not to mention you have a all-world point guard in Taman Lipsey who's just going to do everything. Iowa State has more weapons than I think even the Iowa State fans realize relative to the rest of the conference right now.
Yeah, and then you've obviously got AJ. I'm going to need to learn how to say his name over at BYU.
We'll all learn it in one way or another.
Yeah,
and there's
probably for worse.
And Tech's got some dudes, right? Like everyone spent money. There's going to be good players, but if you give me a 1-2 combo forward, I don't think you can get better in the country. I really don't. Than Jefferson and Momchilovich.
Yeah, the other thing with Milan that he said was, I came in, it was pretty cool to be playing as a freshman, and who could blame him? And then last year he said he had glimpses, but he of course missed a month with injury. And this year he is focused that, it's my turn to be aggressive. And of course he's got to go do it. Saying it in July is one thing, doing it on the court is the other. But it seems like he's like you're at practice. It sounds like he's getting that pounded into his head every single day.
No question that it's not going to be for lack of motivation for him. Now, he's going to be efficient. There's no doubt. But people his age get better. He's still young. Like, he's only 20. I remind what Curtis's growth, and they're not the same player, but Curtis goes from Indian Hills to averaging 2 points a game at Buffalo to his senior year at 17.5 at Iowa State. Milan's upside is so much more than Curtis Jones from an offensive perspective. He's going to get better. Once he leans in that body, gets physical, if he can post up a little bit too, which they're going to try and do with him, I don't know who guards him. I don't. I just think I think really highly of the upside of this Iowa State team. And then the other neat part here is the big guys fit a lot better with those two forwards. You've got your Jefferson and your Momchilovich. They're over here. Buchanan, Plata, Mulder are your 5s. And I think they fit in a lot better. And this isn't disrespectful to Jackson and Chatfield, but I think those bigs fit in a lot better, which what Iowa State wants to do defensively. Maybe not offensively. Jackson was a nice offensive player, but he just didn't have the foot speed, him and Chatfield both, to keep up on the other end. From what I've seen and what I gather from the coaches is those big guys are already so much more mobile. Defensively, Iowa State's going to be better. And so how do you replace Curtis Jones' scoring, Deshaun Jackson's scoring? It starts with Momchilovich taking 5 more shots a game.
I couldn't agree more.
There we go. I got to nerd out on basketball.
That was a lot of analytics.
There we go.
I'm sure a lot of stuff you could get over at the Ivy College Business.
They just launched a new investment banking program with some folks in New York City, by the way, which is amazing. So Ivy is growing like crazy. Obviously, the new dean, but they've been in the works for some high-end relationships because, again, Jake, you know this. It's one thing to learn when you're in college. It's another thing to make connections. And I'm a firm believer in it's more about who you know than what you know a lot of times. And because of Dean Spaulding's relationships, because he was in the investment world in New York City for 30 years, he developed a lot of relationships, and they just launched, you can look it up on the Ivy website, a new investment banking internship program. So really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, no, that's great. No matter what stage of life, whether you're a senior in high school right now, which if you are, thanks for listening.
Yep.
If you're going to Iowa State, go get that. Even if it's not your main major, pick up a business minor, or if you're post-grad, go do it online. Get your business degree. It comes in handy at all times.
It'll only increase your salary, and as you know, you're selling all the time, even if you're not selling anything.
And then, of course, the Iowa State University Foundation. You heard Williams talking about it earlier. Go support whatever organization at Iowa State that means something to you. We will, or not we will, but whatever the future of We Will Collective also.
And announcements coming here in the next couple of weeks on that. So the new We Will Fund will be tax deductible, will continue to be tax deductible, but it can pair with your other Iowa State Foundation donations as well. So pretty pumped up to give the people all the details. And as you found out, Jake, man, how great is Cyclone Nation there in Okoboji? I mean,
oh my gosh.
You go to Northwest Iowa, and they're just so hospitable. We had an amazing Thursday, both on the golf course, at our program. We raised some significant dollars for We Will, which is appreciated. And you talked to a guy, Brad Dorner, which is one of the better interviews I've ever seen. Brad spent some money on a helmet, an Ames helmet, and he put it on in the middle of the program. At one point, I think he tackled Cooper Ebel and Bo Goodwin. Did I get
yeah.
you?
So here's the helmet. I've got the picture.
But
they're going to be okay.
They're all right. Yeah, so Bo and Cooper are okay. Appreciate them going out of their way to make it to that event. But we had an unbelievable turnout. And again, it all adds up. And it is what makes me keep going, stuff like this. Because we don't have an oil billionaire like a lot of our brethren do. But we got guys like this dude who spent several $1,000s on a helmet just because he wants to keep Iowa State competitive and he loves going to games on a Saturday.
So if you're thinking about spending $5,000 on a helmet, don't do it to drink beer, because it does. It's not very practical.
Not very practical.
It can be good as a bike helmet. It's certainly good on the field.
The chin strap. So if you're not watching on YouTube, Brad's drinking a beer with the helmet on, and it spills into the chin strap. So he takes the chin strap and dumps it into his mouth. Again, you can't leave a drop empty there. But I had a great
Only
time.
Iowa State fans.
Thanks to everyone who came out, and I could go to Northwest Iowa 6 times a year and do events because you guys appreciate it. We had an awesome day, and again, we're keeping up the good fight.
So did I tell you my story on? So I go up there. Pretty much the only people that I know are you and Crystal. I think that truly might be the only people that I know.
Yeah, you were a good sport. You said, "What do you need me to do?" We said, "We're not really sure, but come on up."
And I was planning on probably just driving back Thursday night because I had some family that lives in Okoboji, but they were out of town, and it would have been too much of an inconvenience. I'm like, I'll just drive back.
It's a long way to go. I mean, it makes for a long day.
Yeah, and then I get paired with these 3 guys that I've never met before, and by the end of the day, we're like best friends. I think we stayed at the bar until 2 a.m. I crashed on their couch. These people that I met literally like 12 hours before, and that's Cyclone Nation right there. It's that Northwest Iowa hospitality. Yeah. And I saw it full blast cheer as well at the 712 Proud Camp.
By the way, great effort out of you. Again, you got the young genes. Like, if I was up till 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, I would not have been at a youth football camp the next day. Just can't do it anymore. But not only did you do it, but then you covered, how about these two guys, and Cooper Ebel and Bo Goodwin? Just salt of the earth, great dudes. And would they have 400 kids at this thing?
Yes, they had 3 camps over 2 days. One in Kingsley, which is Bo Goodwin's hometown. That's a little closer to Sioux City. And then they had 2 camps on Friday here in Hartley.
Okay.
Which is Cooper Ebel's hometown.
Yep, Hartley, Melvin, Sanborn. Yep.
400 kids between the 3 camps. And the cool part was that it wasn't just kids from Hartley and it wasn't just kids from Kingsley. They said that they had a couple kids from Minnesota sign up. So it was truly a 712 crowd. And there was just so many kids there. You can see one in an Ebel jersey right there. That awesome. Were just, they treat them like they're superheroes, and it's,
well, they are.
It's pretty cool.
Well, and you had a great interview with Cooper, and it reminded me of why we kind of keep going through the headaches of college athletics, because the impact is so much more than the headaches. In that Cooper's like, yeah, I looked up to players when I was in grade school that would come back, and I want to show these kids that even in Kingsley, Pearson, and Hartley, Melvin, Sanborn, you can make it. And make it can mean a lot of different things. For them, it means playing in the Big 12, which is a huge deal, and making it. But even he said, I had other teammates that came back, and they're playing at Dort, or they're playing at Northwestern, they're playing at all these Buena Vista, and they looked up to them too. And I'm telling you that in Iowa, these are our superheroes, like you said. So the more we can get them in the community, and that's why I'm a big believer. And I don't think we're going to lose that at Iowa State. I think we've lost it at some places already. But those two doing that, who knows what 9-year-old went to that thing and is like, oh, Cooper Ebel did it, I can do it too. And on and on and on, and the impression it makes. So thank you for covering that, for one. Thank you for making the trek. But more than anything, I just want to thank Cooper and Bo for being just good dudes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and that's why when Iowa State wins, obviously it's good for Iowa State. It's good for all of you. But you and you obviously covered them differently at Channel 5, but now you root for them because you like the people. Like Bo and Cooper drove an hour and a half to come to our event, even though they had camp the next day, and they were thanking me because, they got a couple Hy-Vee catered meals out of the deal. I'm like, no, you guys helped me out. Like this is all, and their family came. Their family was super appreciative. So, big members of the Cooper Ebel Bo Goodwin fan club, and football wise, 2 really, really good players. Really good players.
Yeah, I was just about to say I probably interviewed Cooper at Media Day last year, but I don't think I'd ever interviewed Bo. So I didn't know those two very well at all going into the weekend, and I leave as big fans of Cooper and Bo. Just great guys.
They just feel like Midwest kids, right? Like just
they feel like guys I went to high school with.
Yeah. It's like just happy to be here. Love that we can make this impression on kids. And Matt mentioned it, but Cooper Ebel played most of the last year with a separated shoulder, and he played through it because they didn't have anybody else. They had nobody else. And then Bo Goodwin goes from 8-man football at Kingsley Pearson to as a true freshman playing in the Big 12 for Iowa State. And you throw those two guys into an already pretty veteran linebacker crew. You get some of the guys back that are healthy. Camp starts Tuesday, and all of a sudden linebacker becomes maybe the most fascinating position on that football roster. And it's not because it's a bad thing. It's like, who's going to win those jobs? And I think Ebel and Goodwin have a chance. Probably Ebel a little bit ahead of Goodwin. But how do you keep Will McLaughlin off the field? How do you keep Caleb Bacon off the field? Zach Lovitz had an unbelievable year and a half of getting healthy. And Caleb Brzezina, who had 12 tackles in Kinnick. Like, who's getting taken off the field here?
Yeah, let's just get into that. So we're going to do our top 3 position battles. To hear maybe even better insight after you listen to us, go check out Chris Williams' interview with Iowa State GM Derek Hooger.
Awesome.
On Cyclone Fanatic on our summer series. Great insight from Hooger. And I want to start with the linebackers. And usually I think of position battles as like a concern. Like
totally.
This whole of who's going to fill it. The linebacker room it's not that case. There's 9 guys that can play and will play. It's just a matter of who maybe gets those 3 spots. And if I had to guess off the top of my head, I would go Bacon, Brzezina, and Ebel. But I could very well be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, McLaughlin has played really good football. And as Hoodger said in that interview, he's like, when he's healthy, he's one of our best players. But again, you can only play. Now, I'll be interested if Iowa State, and this is where, what CW and I have talked about, both Lovett and Bacon can get in the mix a little bit more, as that fourth guy with the hand on the ground. So we'll see if they mix some of that in. You got some different, but then even like a Carson Willich, who we haven't really seen. He's always been super talented. He's always been hurt. He's healthy now. He's got big upside. What about him? And even like a John Klosterman, who's played really well last year before he got hurt. So
Rylan Barnes
is another one. You just got a lot of options there, and I think it's going to be fast. Obviously, the great thing is with John Haycock, and this is why it's like you can get caught up in who's playing when and where. He's going to play them all. I mean, Iowa State plays more guys on defense than about anybody, especially early. So those first 3 or 4 games, all those guys are going to play, and they're going to rotate. They're also going to rotate a lot of bodies in the secondary and the defensive line. That's just what Haycock does, and I think it really works for Iowa State. I do think it'll be interesting, though, in that first game. It's not the same. Does Iowa State really try and stick to a tighter rotation against K-State, or will they treat it like a first game like they have in the past and maybe rotate more bodies than they normally would? I say that fully knowing that even in conference games, they're moving a lot of guys in and out. So it's not just the same 11 all the time.
Yeah, so for the linebackers, either way, like they're going to have guys. And it might be you're playing K-State, Avery Johnson's a running quarterback. Zach Lovett has shown plenty of ability to be a really good spy.
Yep.
Maybe you're throwing Lovett in a little bit more than someone like Ebel, who's a little bit more of an in between the tackles linebacker.
Yep.
And we'll just have to see what that's like, but there's no shortage of experience.
Guys. I mean, again, I don't want to high quality character football team, but those linebackers in particular, they're all really good dudes.
So maybe the next position naturally to talk about would be the defensive line. There's no question who will start in the middle. Dominique Orange, Big Citrus.
Man, he looks good too. Whew.
But then the edge, you've got a lot of names where Ike Ezeagu, Campbell said it down in Dallas at Big 12 Media Days, looking at the film of last year, he probably should have played more. But for him, it sounds like just a motor thing. Like, when he's really good, can he sustain it? You've got the Tulsa transfer, Von Troy Malone.
Yep.
You've also got the Yale kid, Tomatoa McDonough.
Yep.
Walters is going to kill me if I got that wrong. I swear I listened, but I need to refresh still. Zamir Hawk, Jace Gilbert is a freshman. Like, there's a lot of names that could. It's just a matter of who are those 2 on the edge to complement Orange.
I'll throw 2 more in. Cannon Butler, the UNI transfer.
Yep.
Who was hurt for some of spring, and he's getting healthy now and should make an impact. And then they're pretty high on Malik Verdone's brother, Trey. So I won't be surprised to see Trey out there a little bit too. And then like you just mentioned, Jace Gilbert's one of those younger guys who has super, super high expectations going forward that hasn't really popped yet. Thank you for mentioning Zamir Hawk. Kind of gets forgotten about. Again, I had a good listener reach out and was like, I forgot how good he was in the Pop-Tarts Bowl game. Zamir played a bunch of snaps that game and was very productive. And he's another one where they're going to give him a chance to play a lot. I think he's kind of a combo. Obviously, you have Dom in the middle there. Zamir can play the middle, but they might have Zamir play some edge too.
He's the type of guy where if Iowa State ran a traditional, 4-2-5 defense or 4-3-4, he's like a great second defensive tackle. But he is kind of in that mix where he's not a traditional nose tackle, but he's also probably not as quick as the other guys on the edge, but he showed he can do it against Miami.
I think those 2 positions for sure are fascinating. I'm more confident in the linebackers because they're more known commodities there, even though the defensive line played better at times than the linebackers did a year ago due to injury. But I just think this defense is going to be light years better analytically from a pace standpoint too. This is the other thing that dragged down Iowa State's numbers defensively. Iowa State, I got to look up the exact numbers, and in fact, if you're bored this week, you could do it, maybe a little article on this. place per game difference for Iowa State last year relative to the first couple of years of the Campbell era, in that they threw it more because you had Jalen and Jaden, so you have more plays that way. That'll drag down your numbers yardage-wise and play or point-wise because there's more plays, which means more opportunities to score. So we'll see if Iowa State slows it down a little bit more this year offensively, and that should reflect better on the defense too. Just something to think about.
Yeah, I think they will. Just with what they have at tight end between Bramer and Burkle.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Carson Hansen's proven. Abu Sama, maybe he's shown flashes. Maybe he has a bounce-back junior year, and then
I think he will.
River Peppers. Aiden Flora showed a little bit too. So I do think we probably will see a little more of a slower offense. And I hate to just focus on the defense, but I think like the third question mark is probably the second cornerback spot.
Yeah,
and it sounds like it's Trey Bell, but
it's Trey Bell. But those young guys will play Coffey and Taylor, and then they talked a lot about Benny Nagoya on the podcast with Hood.
They did.
So
a lot.
I think they're gonna give him every chance to get out there in some capacity. For me, that third position group, I agree. Linebackers are one just from a numbers game. Defensive line because you need him to be better. That second corner, I guess I'm not as worried about as much as I maybe who really takes over the wide receiver spot.
Yeah.
And who, it's less of like, because I kind of know who it may be. It's my question is, will it be the transfer guys that really take it over? Or is it going to be those young up-and-comers that surprise people? Or is it old man Daniel Jackson?
Yep.
That has a resurgent last year? And he very well could.
It'd be awesome.
Missed all of last year. And he's one that I am so excited for to be healthy because he started as a freshman. Like, people forget about that with Daniel. And so I think him having a full year healthy will be interesting. So I'm super fascinated by the snaps at the wide receiver position as well.
So I'm just assuming at the wide receiver position, we'll see Sowell and Townsend start.
Yes.
And then that third position, you could go Daniel Jackson. Carson Brown was a very important player the second half of last season.
He won the Tech game, and then they lost the Tech game.
Yeah, and Eli Green was someone that they were really excited for. He had a great game against West Virginia in Big 12 play.
Yep, and he got hurt, so he didn't play a lot towards the end of and he had a couple big catches in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Brett Eskelson. He's maybe, I know if you look on the scoreboard, I think they beat Cincinnati 34-17, but that was a game that was really close in the second half and in danger of losing, and Eskelson had two different third down conversions, and Iowa State scores that possession, kind of puts the game away. I know Dom Overby is a player that they were really, really excited about last year.
Still are.
And yeah, there's so many different options. Daniel Jackson, of course. Zay Robinson's a freak, a total freak.
I had a local friend ask, like, hey, is he going to play? I'm like, yeah. I mean, the plan is for him to give him a chance to see the field as a true freshman, Zay Robinson.
And at the very worst, I mean, we haven't talked a ton about special teams, really anybody. At the very least, I know Townsend is going to be the primary returner. He was the best in the Big 12. But you've got three guys back there on kickoff, and Zay Robinson could be one of those guys.
Yep. Aiden Flora is going to be one of those options, too. I think Zay Robinson's definitely in the mix. Yep.
Zay is a total freak, and that's someone that I've covered him
for sure
since, for the last 3 years since he was young at Valley, and he's the type of guy that when you're watching a game, you can just tell when there's a player who doesn't belong.
Just has a little extra juice to him.
And that was Zay. In football, basketball to an extent, if he was 3 inches taller, he could be a D1 basketball player.
He could dunk it with ease at 5'10".
Oh yeah. He's one of the best dunkers that I covered in my time working in Des Moines media.
Yeah, good one to mention because he's going to start to get some buzz here, I think, early. Picked Iowa State over Iowa, Colorado, K-State, and Missouri. So This is not just giving a scholarship to a local kid just because he's a local kid. No, he was highly coveted. It was a big win when Iowa State got him. He's come this summer and athletically on par with about everybody Iowa State has. Now, the question for him is, can he do it consistently? Can he handle the mechanics of it? But I agree with you. Special teams-wise, he's one to be in the mix.
Yeah, it was too bad when over the course of his 3 years at Valley, I saw him slowly get media trained. He was like one of the best. He was maybe the best soundbite I ever covered.
Is that right?
Yeah, when he was
You
a
got old on
sophomore.
us.
So way in the weeds of Iowa high school football, but his sophomore year, the semifinals against Dowling was the best high school football game I've ever covered. And Zay caught the game-winning touchdown.
Okay.
And it was someone I'd never heard of. He was just the sophomore, still kind of off the radar.
Yep.
And from that point, he really just dealt with injuries in football and basketball. And I truly think if he stayed healthy, it's probably good for Iowa State, but he might have had even bigger offers come in than just K-State, Iowa State, Iowa.
Yeah, athletic profile alone, he's got huge talent. And again, don't think of Zay Robinson Valley High School. It's Zay Robinson, really coveted freshman receiver. And obviously that's a tough spot though. I mean, I think the question with Zay, like it is for all those guys, it's the hard part about receiver blocking, route running, catching everything thrown to you. Jalen Knoll came in as a highly decorated guy. There are people in the fan base. I saw the message boards. Everybody,
Yep.
his freshman and sophomore year, like get this guy off the field. He can't catch the ball, or keeps going out of bounds. And then he turned into Jalen Knoll his senior season. So, but Zay Robinson, if you, and it's interesting, he's wearing number 13. Okay, I think there's a strong similarity between him and Jalen. Zay's maybe a little bit more physical early as a young guy.
So it's linebacker, D-line, opposite corner, and third receiver. I think that about covers...
It's pretty good.
I think that about covers the main question marks.
Yeah, and I'm curious. Starting center is interesting to me. I've heard both Brendan Black and Jim Boniface will gets one reps there early. And
Yep,
we'll
and Boniface was the starter most of 2023.
Yep, and then obviously Black was a guard last year. So we'll see. That's a big. I mean, losing Jared Hufford's a big deal. I mean that is one thing that everyone talks about. Knoll and Higgins
And Travis.
Jared Hufford was just rock solid for 4 years on that offensive line. Knew everything. Could play center guard, tackle. Never missed a snap. That's a big loss that I think doesn't get talked about because he wasn't an outside receiver or something, or as monster that Travis was. But Jared Hufford is a big replacement that somebody's got to fill the role there too.
Yeah, I'll leave the O-line talk to Bruns. I struggle.
I do too, but I do know they are. Again, it's early. Well, practice starts Tuesday, by the way, so we're in it. Like we're in it. Media days this week, and it's on. And we start, guys. We're about a month away from Ireland.
34 days from today, if you're listening on Sunday.
I'm in. Let's go. I'm ready.
35 days away from this second. I'm either going to be the most ecstatic I've ever been on an airplane or the most depressed.
It's going to be a long road trip home if it goes the wrong way. Because you're going back into that jet stream, baby.
Yeah.
Right in that jet stream.
We'll hope that it's Avery Johnson that's having a sad plane ride home and not me and Bloom.
And he can have a sad plane ride home to his Lamborghini that's purple.
That Avery Johnson, man, he's got a good head of hair on him. I talked to him down in Dallas, and he was wearing this.
You got the long stuff still?
Yeah, got the really long hair. He had this really nice lavender purple suit.
Oh,
just
flashy.
Yeah,
Okay, I can pull that off.
Big talk.
Can't wait, buddy. We're getting closer. So great to do our first podcast together. Hopefully, it's not the last.
The first of many.
Yes,
I can't wait. If we had more time, Brend and Brent would be a really good and confusing podcast title.
And by the way, because you're getting heat on the internet, you're a legit 5'10" and a half. Okay.
Don't listen to Hassel.
Hassel can shove it on his European vacation. And Hassel, if you're listening to this 54 minutes into the podcast while you're in some island in Greece, yeah, you're obsessed with us, pal.
Good for him. Who couldn't be obsessed with Cyclone Fanatic? We've got so much good content coming your way. All the way leading up to football season, and then, of course, it's only going to get better. Thanks for supporting what we do here at Cyclone Fanatic. We've been in the Northwest Bank Studios.